All right, it is 7 o'clock. I'm going through issues. So we will call the regular January 2025 Board of Education meeting to order. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is on the wall right there. And with that, let's go ahead and take the roll.
Jason Martin.
Here.
Cassie Foster.
Here.
Chase Cradaville.
Here.
Brian Locker.
Here.
Steve Slice.
Here.
Shannon Woolman.
All right, we have a quorum. With that, we will do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, agenda item 1.4. Entertain a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda as presented.
Next.
Thanks, Cass. I'm sorry, Ryan, Jason beat you. So moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Jason Martin. Cassie Foster.
Yes.
Chase Cradaville.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Slice.
Can I vote on this?
Yep.
Or, yes.
Shannon Woolman.
All right, agenda item 1.5. Board member, Mr. O'Daniel.
Present.
Hopefully not the last meeting he attends, but maybe the last as a board member.
As a board member.
So Matt has been on the board since 2011. So about 13 years now.
Yeah.
And I think we all on the board, as Steve will find out very soon, we don't get anything for doing this. This is anybody who gets on the board wants to just further help the school and promote education in the district. And I know that's been at the top of Matt's mind since he's been a board member in numerous positions and recently as board president for many years. So I think on behalf of the board, just want to thank him for his service to Arlington, and he's done a lot for the district. And I know there's lots of hours that go into the board, being a board member that I know a lot of people don't realize that you don't see. There's committee meetings a lot, especially depending on what committees you're on. Those take a lot of time. There's hundreds of hours probably through Mr. O'Daniel's 13 years of service that he's been up at the school talking about budgets, talking about strategic goals for the school, just lots of different things he's seen over his 13 years, different superintendents, construction projects, different administration, a lot of different students throughout the years, including a couple of his own here recently. So I just want to thank him for his leadership and everything he's given to this board on behalf of the board.
Thank you, Chase. I appreciate that, and promise I won't take too much of your time. But just as Steve will find out, when you're elected and you become a board member, you're really not sure what you're getting yourself into, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but it really wasn't what I thought it'd be, and it was better. And like so many things, when you get into them, you don't know what you're going to get out of it as well. And I feel really fortunate with all the people I've served with, board members, different administrators, 2 great superintendents, and I'm really thankful for the friendships that I've developed. I was thinking about this today, the friendships that I've developed through being on the board that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. And so that's what I'm most thankful for. And I would encourage any of you, we have at least one kid, 2, 3, we got a few kids. I would encourage the kids going forward, to get some service. It may not be on the school board, it might be on the village board or something like that later, because it's real necessary, and it's really rewarding also, and it's very fulfilling. So, with that, I hopefully a couple of things that I did over the last 13 years have had a positive impact on the district. This is a really special place, and I'm glad that we raised our family here and that our kids came through the system and you know, I think it's a neat place and with this board going forward, we'll keep its eye on the prize and keep the kids first, and that's what this is all about. You know, if you've heard me talk at all about this stuff, I always say it's a great group of people running the school and on the board, so I know that it'll be fine.
Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it. We are going to take a few pixtures here, and then we are going to let Mr. Daniel go on his way so he can
I'll only be in your way at this point.
exit here. So we'll just take a few pictures and present Matt this plaque and then allow him to leave.
I'm gonna go home and turn it on Strive and watch the rest of the meeting.
Okay, way to rub it in.
Where would you guys probably?
We could do there, or we could do that around the corner, those kind of
Maybe we'll
vintage.
go right around the corner.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, because I'd sure like to get a picture with all the members and then, you know, the administrators also.
Okay,
That'd be great.
so we're taking a pause.
so, Mrs. Wolf, you're in charge of the room while all of us.
As a reminder, the Strive is, or whatever, still on, so you know. So we will be back. Don't say anything incriminating.
The other one.
Oh,
Good
Oh,
question.
yeah, it is.
No.
They decided to switch their whole color scheme from what they had. So I was trying to show one of them that you can see.
So I am to say this would be if it was
To me.
and more
He's doing good. He's not
and then just put.
Right, the
Yes,
nice
yes,
dress there.
yes.
And
Yep.
then.
Yes, fine. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I see where they had.
Lots
of
Too busy later. Oh, yes.
And wait till the very end. Usually December is a hot meeting. Lots of things, because they wait till the very end.
Can you try to tell them which ones to come to?
The February meeting is 2 days before SLC deadline,
Oh,
so I suggested to a few of them that they might have better things to do in February.
I will go last report, because I don't want to bore all you guys, so.
Oh,
You guys can step in before me.
speaking of which, Tasha, your daughter is working on a project with her two friends. I don't know if you do this.
Which one? Ainsley?
Yes.
Okay. Good for
But
them.
they need to come work a little more. Now they don't have any class, so I think it's out of sight, out of mind.
I will remind it.
They talked to me about it Saturday, so
Yes, I will remind them.
but I can come up here any night pretty much if there's not a basketball game, which is a situation they have.
Okay, well, maybe they can go after school too. And instead of having to go to practice.
Well, they got a good turnout.
Okay.
It's like something about artificial intelligence, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that randomly weird? That's the ugly color. Creeping out. That's when you change those.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Thanks again. Enjoy. Health City.
Thank you.
All right. We will continue with agenda item 2. Welcome to guest and public forum. For my reference, there's anybody here that would wish to address the board this evening in public forum? Okay. We will move on to annual business agenda item 3. First is the 3.1 administer oath of office to all board members. I think I talked to all the board members and gave them a heads up of it. A couple of us were in a recent meeting and it was recommended by NASB just routinely in January with the new board members coming on to also have any existing board members also do their oath of office every January just as a refresher. So that's why we will be doing that for everybody. Dr. Lewis?
I have it up, so if you guys want to stand and turn and face, we will go ahead. I don't know if one of you would like to lead it.
Do we all like
Names
need
or the
to-
links?
Are we all doing it together?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it together, and I
Yeah.
think that's fine. Don't you think, Chase?
So we just like take a break, we'll say our name.
Yeah.
Name.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Say your
Ready?
middle name. Go ahead, Cass.
Okay. I
Chase Bradley. Do
solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or for purpose of evasion, and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of member of the School Board of Washington County School District 89-0024, also known as Washington Public Schools, according to law and to the best of my ability. And I do further swear that I do not advocate, nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence. And that during such time as I am in this position, I will not advocate nor become a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, so help me God.
Okay.
There's no smooth way.
It was nice. It was very nice. It was great.
Okay. Election of officers, agenda item 3.2, obviously, every January board meeting. We elect usually the president, vice president, and then this past year with the new treasurer role. So we will just go down the line here and open it up for any nominations for the position of president. If anybody wants to make a nomination.
I'll nominate president.
I second that.
Here,
Is it-
you get the nominations in a second. I can type.
Okay. All right, there's been a nomination, a second. Is there any other nominations for president? Okay. Can we do this by voice vote, Dr. Lewis? I can't
Yes, we
remember.
can. I think we should, but there's only one
There's only
opportunity.
one opportunity,
So
we
let's
have
go
to,
ahead and do it just by a show of
yes.
hands or voice.
Okay,
Because I didn't do them as separate motions, so I'll add them as separate
Unless-
motions later.
okay, got it.
As I say, can you do all of them and then you just
Okay.
write this
Yeah.
in last?
Thank you, very good. Thank you for reminding me how to do it.
Okay. Just move on to vice president then. Okay, we'll open up for any nominations for the position of vice president.
I nominate Cassie Flesh.
Okay, there's been a,
Do we need a second?
Second.
We did that the one time.
is there any other nominations for the position of vice president? Okay. And then we'll open it for the position of treasurer. I will nominate Mr. Brian Locker.
I will second.
Is there any other nominations for the position of treasurer? Okay. Now walk me through this, Dr. Lewis. We need to do one entire motion.
Yes, so, then to appoint Chase Credible as president, Cassie Elsner as vice president, and Brian Longer as treasurer.
And before the vote, just a reminder, for this vote, you do not have to abstain if you're one of the individuals in the motion, as there's no personal and financial gain, obviously, to these positions. With that,
Yes. But I don't know if you can see it.
Here, let me,
I literally just typed what she said.
oh, no, it's not on there.
So moved.
It's not on there.
Yeah, can we do that?
Just a motion to nominate you as president, Cassie as vice president, and Brian Locker as treasurer.
So moved.
Jason, maybe you should.
it's been moved by
Second.
Mr. R, and seconded by Steve.
Gotcha.
Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Cassie Flesner.
Yes.
Chase Credible.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Slyheim.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot. Yes. Jason Orange.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries on the election of officers. All right, agenda item 3.3, appointment of board committees. Dr. Lewis has an attachment in there.
Yeah, I do.
Dr. Lewis, do you want to go over the attachment at all?
No, this just tells us who were our committee members last year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all that's really on there.
Okay.
And it just talks a little bit about the purpose of committees and things like that. So when we go through our new reorganization of committees here, take some time to review that and understand what the role and purpose of each of those committees is.
So that document will, exactly what Dr. Lewis just said, talks about the roles of committees. I know I've talked to all the board members about this too, and then I sent a follow-up email last week as well. This was a little more difficult this year because we had numerous individuals with departing board member movement. Some board members wanted to go to other committees, and I was not able to fulfill everybody's wish on this. I really wasn't. So what I did was came up with what I thought was the best going forward, and you saw in my email, my intention was to align a little more the finance committee and the negotiations committee with the same members due to the having that background on finance committee and taking that into negotiations, since the certificated staff agreement is the biggest chunk, if you will, of our budget. Obviously, it has a big impact on it. So that's my rationale for it. And I think everybody hopefully saw that email. I didn't hear back from anybody on that. But if anybody has any comments or anything that they want to discuss, I'm completely fine with discussing it now as well. Okay, and do you want me to list out that, Dr. Lewis? Okay. So for curriculum and American Civics Committee, the board members and chairing that committee will be Shannon Wilmot. And members will be, two members will be Mr. Jason Arp and Mr. Steve Slykus. And then on buildings and grounds, the chair of that committee would be Mr. Jason Arp. And then the other two committee members would be Shannon Wilmot and Steve Slykus. And then for both finance and negotiations committee, the chair will be myself, Chase Credible, and members being Cassie Flesner and Brian Locker. And then finally, the St. Paul's representative liaison committee would be comprised of Mr. Brian Locker and myself. Brian.
This was on, yeah. last year.
Okay, you're right, that's a mistake. That was a typo, I apologize.
Well, I'm fine either way.
So,
Don't matter to me.
Not matter to me either.
Okay, I tell you what, why don't, I'll just pull myself off of it.
Okay.
And then,
Brian and Jason.
Jason and Brian, yep.
Okay.
That'll be easy fix.
Okay, I will send an updated document tomorrow.
That was a typo, I apologize, everybody. All right. Agenda item 3.4 is appoint KSP and GH&G law firms as official legal counsel to the board and superintendent. Dr. Lewis, did you have any comments here about?
No, I did not. We use them for different things. Typically, when we need advice or advising for situations, we use KSB, but our, most of our policies come from Harry Leffler. Can you check the connection of this projecting in behind me? Make sure that's plugged in. I'm not sure why that keeps coming. So we use them both, for different purposes. So we have Harry Leffler policies, but then we go with KSB.
I'll make a motion to appoint KSP and Harry Law Firm as the official legal counsel to the board and superintendent.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Chase Crowder,
Yes.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Steve Slagis,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Plesser.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 3.5, appoint RVR Bank as official depository for all district funds. This one's pretty straightforward, just makes RVR Bank, we handle all our finances through them.
So Steve and I had a bit of a conversation earlier, since the
Got it.
spouse works for RVR. So some situations, they would say you don't need to abstain. I suggested that he probably does abstain this time, and he did feel like he's conflict of interest, which would be
Perfect.
next. So,
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's good. No,
And
yes.
I corrected the motion to say RVR Bank, not to number two.
Thank you, I just copied it all over.
You're good, yep.
Oh, okay.
No, but I would agree. Yes,
I just copied it.
Yeah, I called that Saturday when I saw it.
Okay.
I thought that would make sense.
okay, yep, no, that makes sense. Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to appoint RVR Bank as the official depository for all district funds.
I'll second that.
All right, it's moving second, thanks, Cassie and Brian. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Brian Locker,
Yes.
Steve Slagis,
Abstain with conflict due to my wife being a employee of RVR Bank.
Shannon Wilmot,
Yes.
Jason Art,
Yes.
Cassie Plesser.
Yes.
Chase Crowder.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Agenda item 3.6, distribute conflict of interest forms for board members. Dr. Lewis, I'll turn this one over to you, the changes.
Right, so they're the original ones that we always have are on there, but they did send out a new recommended form that they would like us to have signed and on file. So there's one in front of each of your seats. So if you fill those out before you go this evening, if you have any known conflicts, go ahead and fill them out and sign them. If you say no, that is fine too. We'll just have a signed copy. So you can just leave them for me at the end of the night.
And Dr. Lewis, oh, go ahead. For the address information, is that the schools or our personal, you know?
I think it's your personal. Go ahead and, the agency address is going to be the school address, but up on
Got
top where it's your name and address and phone number, that would be yours.
Okay.
And again, if you have any question about whether or not you have a conflict of interest about any particular thing, just go ahead and stop me afterwards and we'll talk through it. But basically, if you or an immediate family member stands to gain financially from a relationship with anything that the school does business with, that would be your reason to indicate that you have a potential conflict of interest.
All right. Item 3.7, approve Arlington Citizen as the official newspaper of the Board of Education. Another pretty straightforward one, obviously. They're the only newspaper in the district, and
But we love them. Yes.
yeah, so it makes a lot of sense. And hopefully, we see some steady faces, some consistent faces in here. Well, you're not giving me a lot of confidence right there. Yeah. So, All right, with that, I'll make a motion to appoint Burlington Citizen as the official newspaper of the district.
Second.
Thank you. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, let's vote.
Steve Slikis.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Kleisner.
Yes.
Jason Crandall.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Agenda item 3.8, appoint superintendent as district non-discrimination compliance coordinator. Dr. Lewis, just can you remind us a little bit background on this, especially the new board member?
Yes, so I'm named in all of our policies as the Title IX and the non-discrimination ordinances and things like that. So we need to have that formally approved every year. The superintendent is that person. Some districts that are larger might have that be somebody else, but in the district our size, it's almost exclusively the superintendent.
With that, I would entertain a motion.
I move that superintendent be listed as district non-discrimination compliance.
Second.
Thank you, Steve and Cass. It been moved in second. Any further discussion? Let's vote.
Shannon Wilmot. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Kleisner.
Yes.
Jason Crandall.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Slikis.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Yeah. 'Cause that's-
Agenda item 3.9, appoint superintendent as secretary and business manager as recording secretary to the Board of Education. Pretty much, as long as I can remember, that's so pretty straightforward again, regards to how board meetings function and other areas around the board. Dr. Lewis, did you have anything additional there?
No, I don't have anything additional. It's been that way for as long as any of us can remember. I'm gonna try something here. We're having trouble with the cord, so I'm
Okay.
gonna try and toss it over to Dr. Morgan. Sorry.
All right, with that, I'll make a motion to appoint superintendent as secretary and business manager as recording secretary to the Board of Education.
I'll second that.
Moved in second. Anything, Brian, is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Kleisner.
Yes.
Jason Crandall.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Slikis.
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 4 is agenda. You'll see here the minutes of the previous board meeting from December 9th. You will also see our monthly financials. I've reviewed with Dr. Lewis. Just the only thing I wanted to just highlight, I know we've talked about this, buildings and grounds. I think look at this here, that will be a big topic of discussion this next year is just the expenses on bus repairs and bus upkeep. I think it may be a good year to possibly talk about and look at what purchasing a new bus may look like. Just because in the last 4 years, for sure, it's probably the most I've seen nickel and dime, if you will, expenses for buses with aging fleet there. So I think it'd be something good for building and grounds to look at. But outside of the bus expenses, I did not see anything else that I was going to highlight. I'll turn it over to anybody else on board if they saw anything they wanted more clarification on.
I think there are just some more larger expenses this year, or right now, because things were renewing. There is a couple of new just renewing contracts and stuff. And the same thing that I noticed was there's busing and just upkeep of things.
Yeah, and you'll see like that, when it's Omaha Truck Center, 6 different invoices, little things here and there. And, even the small repairs are more expensive than they used to be. So,
And is January just kind of like a heavy, or I guess more February, is a heavy month for like, oh my gosh, workshops and conferences, there we go. Well, there was like a visa bill, it seemed like there was just a ton of conferences and.
So we've had the state education conference comes through, I don't know, it's the churches that come
It's-
over there. And then
Yeah.
It's usually a lot of those music cons and they're all like in like February and March and so a lot of the registrations do now. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Cool. Yeah, nothing crazy.
You'll see in agenda from what through there some resignations as well as hires and reassignments. Dr. Lewis, anything you want to highlight there?
We're wishing these three ladies well, Mrs. Rollins, Mrs. Powell, and Mrs. Palaco. We're moving Mrs. Lorish into the library and media. She was well qualified and excited for the opportunities. We've got some positions open that we're trying to get filled.
Okay.
Yeah, opportunities.
All right. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will second.
Thank you, Cassidy. We move in second. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Cassie Westman,
Yes.
Chase Credibill,
Yes.
Brian Longer,
Yes.
Steve Slagis,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason Martin.
Yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item 5, curriculum instruction reports. We have a couple here. Sorry to keep all you ladies waiting. It's just the nature of the January board meeting, unfortunately. Dr. Lewis, did you want to say anything before we turn it over to Mrs. Wolf at all?
No, I don't think so. Mrs. Wolf has got some great data to share with us, and then we've got a couple of other things too.
Perfect.
Are you
Oh, you're
sure?
going last?
Yeah, I feel bad. Like, I feel like we talk a lot and then people wait to sit, so I feel like they should go first.
I'm staying for the whole meeting, so
Okay.
they can go.
I will turn it over to
Okay,
our,
so-
Nobody wants to go first.
By default.
I don't mind going first, but I'm staying for
our
the whole.
fourth grade team, Mrs. Prenslow, Mrs. Sanders, and Miss Green.
Yeah, so.
Whoever would like to volunteer as tribute. Mrs. Prenslow.
Okay, thanks. So fourth grade, we sent in the report and everybody can read that, but I guess I just kind of wanted to highlight, it's a really interesting year in fourth grade. If you can think back to when we kind of got hit with the COVID situation, we have the COVID kiddos that were hit in kindergarten. And we know lots of research has shown that they really needed to be in school and learning and not looking at people like this and learning behind a mask like this. And so they're in fourth grade now. And so we took some data at the beginning of the year that we typically do as a district. And we got a little alarmed this year with some of the things we were seeing. It's like statewide. There's teachers everywhere in fourth grade. What happened? And so we quickly kind of saw some of the trends not going the way we exactly wanted, pulled in Jackie, kind of sat down, talked through a strategy. Dr. Morgan helped us flip our schedule. We have more time with these kiddos in larger blocks. Miss Green is brand new, but she willingly jumped in and did whatever it was that she needed to do. At that time, it was to take on all of science and social studies so that Mrs. Sanders and I could get longer reading and math blocks with these kiddos to get a little bit more extensive time with them. And we pulled in special education teachers. We pulled in as many support as we could, kind of helped reset. We moved our lunchtime. I mean, it was a big undertaking at the time. We did call a parent meeting. We had that before conferences so that we could kind of relay all of the data and information that we had to parents. Mrs. Wolf found us a really cool program that we've been using and kind of piloting, and that you guys approved, the iReady program. And we have absolutely head over heels loved that. The kids have made so much ground. We were really excited in December to get our new scores and our data. Just to spit some numbers out there. So in the iReady program, the kiddos take their first diagnostic. It then gives them a projected year's growth. So if you're a couple grade levels below, like we had some kids flagging in kinder, we had some kids flagging in first grade, and they just didn't get what they needed to get because they couldn't see, they couldn't hear it right. And it's nobody's fault. And so we were pretty alarmed. Some of these kids' goals for the year was like 89 point growth. They needed to gain 55 points to show some gains just because there were so many grade levels behind. Our kiddos were really close to grade level. Their goals were more like 20 points or like 13 points, somewhere in the shorter range because they were closer to grade level. So we're trucking right along and we're pouring in as much as we can. And in our December data that we took the test again in December, and 55% of our fourth graders met their year-long goal in December in reading. And then 61% of our friends met their year-long goal in math in December, which was about 11 weeks from diagnostic to diagnostic. They recommend about 14. We've been getting trained as we go. We come in and do Zoom meetings on Friday mornings with these trainers from iReady. And they have helped us a ton navigate where we're at, what we need to do next, and kind of explain what our data means. And this last Friday, they showed us this growth report, and we were both like, whoa, this is great. So perfect timing. But we really appreciate you kind of stepping out on a limb, Dr. Morgan and Mrs. Wolf kind of helping us navigate all of the things that are going. We're still having fun in fourth grade, but we just really felt like they needed an extra something, a little boost this year. And parents have gotten on board. A lot of them have played a lot of the activities and games that we sent home. Additionally, we went and found some different things that we thought could help make up ground, and we had kind of a curriculum night just for fourth grade to get that boost. But we've seen a lot of progress. We're still kind of moving, same schedule. We've started the expensive blocks, the longer blocks, to just get that hopefully looking even better by May, get them 100% met, right? But we've really enjoyed iReady. It's a really cool program. It gives us very detailed information, and I think that's why we can make such gains. Shows us exactly what Nebraska standards are missing. A lot of other things we have to align ourselves because a lot of programs use core, and so we have to kind of do some finagling there to see what matches. This one uses Nebraska standards, and we hadn't seen much of that anywhere else. So when they do show us exactly what standard they need in math or reading, we can plug that in immediately and know which kids need that. So I think that's been a very targeted intervention for us. But what did I miss? Okay. Any questions?
Wow.
The kids have worked their tails off. We haven't let them really have. Come on, guys, you got this.
Do you foresee, and I'm assuming here the answer, that this COVID class, if you will, it's just going to be chipping away every year for quite a while until they really make up all the losses, if you will? I would assume it'd be several years you're just trying to chip it away each year. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we, like in the realm of reading, you have to teach a kid how to read before they can understand what they're reading. So we broke it down all the way to like phonics. Like I've never ever given the core phonics in fourth grade ever. And it's an assessment that's one-on-one, and it's actually like a listening one. Mrs. Christensen trained us fast on how to do that. And so I assessed all 60 of them, and we targeted like phonics. Like I've never done that. And I was talking to the fifth grade teacher because she was a reading teacher also in Fremont before she did us, but had a wealth of knowledge as far as like intervention and stuff. And she's like, if you can fix a lot of that phonics piece and like how to read, I can get them in fifth grade with the comprehension. Same thing with math. Sandy's been plugging away at number sense, just which number is more, what is greater, what is less, that vocabulary piece in math. And so if she can get a lot of that ground made up, then they'll be able to catch on and start closer to grade level next year.
So really that infrastructure, you will. Okay.
Katie, are you seeing more of this just from this class or
Yeah.
from this class?
Yes, I think we saw a lot of like social kind of like odd things in the last couple of years. Like, they don't necessarily have conversations the way we do, or they don't like interact with their friends we usually see. But this year is the more of like an academic hit. I think they just were at a very just a pivotal year when they had to look and learn through masks. So.
And Mrs. Prenzel is right, this is statewide that we're seeing, and it's probably nationwide, but these are the kids that were in that pivotal year, that kindergarten year, and they couldn't see their teacher's notes, and they couldn't read the social cues that they pick up from each other, and just, there's so much wrapped into kindergarten.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy how fast they were like ready to pick it up. Like they really wanted to know why these letters made these sounds and why. So you could truck right along, but it was figuring out what exactly was missing was the hardest puzzle. But
And I think we knew that we were going to see some sort of repercussions from what we had to do that year, but they were here, they were learning, and they came to us, and just a lot of them missed a lot of time, and I mean, we absolutely did the right thing by bringing them in, and we knew, but this is it. You guys are doing great, so.
Good for you guys figuring out a way to fix it.
Exactly.
That's
Good job.
amazing.
well, we just appreciate your support because I really think that iReady tool has helped a lot.
Because it targets
It does.
right to what
Let's
they
break it
need,
down. Mhm.
each person, not just as a whole group.
Yeah.
And it puts them on their own individualized learning path.
That's awesome. It's such like a doom and gloom thing that we're talking about, but I feel like really proud to be sitting here because we know that we have really good teachers. Like, we know that you guys have a problem, and instead of waiting for someone to tell you what to do, you took action. You went and found the resources from the staff that we have. So that's, I mean, it's amazing. Like, that's why I like these curriculum things, because you guys tell us what you're doing. Like, yeah, we can read all of the stuff that you put on there, but it's different to hear you tell us about it. So thank
Hopefully that
you.
makes the paper.
Yeah.
That's Jason Arp.
Yeah, I want to quote that.
Spelling of that.
We're not going in the hall for photos, so. Just write that one.
I'll second.
But it's great. It's great to hear. I hope that people actually watch these and know this kind of stuff, because these are the different things these are the positives that I hope people talk about instead of whatever hearsay stuff that probably isn't true. Like, listen to the positives that are coming out of school. You guys are definitely that.
Ms. Green, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, just because you're the newer teacher. Would, and I know not a lot of us, we just see your names on paper.
Mhm.
Could you just tell the board a little bit about yourself? That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm from Omaha. I went to Berkeley School. I graduated from UNO recently. Feels like, oh my gosh, forever ago. I don't know if you want to know.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
also
no
our cheer coach.
I love fourth grade. I have learned so much.
We twisted her.
And there
Perfect. No, thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
So thank you to the fourth grade team. We will let you on with your night.
You don't
Stay
have
if you
to
want.
stay.
We're gonna vote on your contract.
Thank you. Okay.
And I know Mrs. Koger's gonna be here for a while, so
I can go.
we'll
You
have
bet.
Mrs. Wolf go.
You bet. Okay, so piggyback a little bit off of their iReady. Where that came to be was the state was in a new phase. They were looking for a new platform to test kiddos on, and it was not gonna be ESCAs anymore. They were bound and determined it was going to change to something else, and iReady was one of the options. And iReady had so many great boxes that it checked for different things that we could use throughout the year to progress monitor our kids and grab important data off them, but also really individualize the instruction for each kid. That's kind of how we headed in that direction. I would love to see iReady be K-8. I think it has such great tools and really can help our teachers pinpoint a lot better than other assessments that we use. Asperger's has done its job and it's ran its course here. Asperger's does a really great job of making the initial what kiddos are struggling in, and then from there it's like figure it out. Like if it's phonics and phonemic awareness, what exactly in phonics are they lacking? Like that Asperger's doesn't tell us that, and it doesn't really give us a whole gamut of different interventions to give our kiddos. So then from there we're like piecemealing these together. And I feel like that's where iReady could really step in and individually hit every kid, where, yeah, it'd be awesome if a teacher could sit there and just personally teach each kid, but that's not reality. Like, we have to group people together. So iReady could take the place of FastBridge. It could take the place of IXL as well. It is a little chunk of change. It's around $20,000 for K-8. You get a reading license and a math license for each of your kids. And I think it could be really beneficial. The thing that we're looking at right now is FastBridge, we signed a 3-year contract, is that up this year? Or is it one more year and that contract is up? So that's the next hurdle we're trying to jump over, just to kind of see. I think Jackie and I sat down and kind of figured out the numbers. We're looking at about $16,000 for those 2 programs. So it's not too far off if we got rid of those 2 programs and just took this one. It's not too far off, and we're reaching a lot more kids than we are with IXL. Isn't used in all of our classrooms. It's only used in certain ones, like maybe 3rd grade. I think uses it a lot. From there, I couldn't tell you a whole lot. And we're paying a lot of money for that just to be in one grade level. But I think that iReady could be a great tool for our district. That's something we just have to keep researching. But anyways, back to the state. So they showed all these different things, and they were going, and it was for sure that NWEA was out of the picture. This summer, they had 3 different people that they were going with, and then all of a sudden, boom, guess what? And WEA is back and they are good to go for the next 5 years. So that's MAP, which is another platform that we use, and that is what the state will use moving forward is MSCAS or WEA. So, yay. We're excited about that.
We don't have to learn a new.
We don't have to learn a new system, which is exciting, but yeah. So a little bit, this job continues to evolve and change every year. I feel like it's just a little bit different. There are definitely some consistents that stay the same. Professional development is something that we continue to work on and change and try to, fine tune. We do a great job of finding people within the district to help lead those professional developments. Jen Arp's one of them. They love her session where she talks about like how to read the payroll stuff. Like if I would have known that as a teacher to be able to understand how to get into the system and work my payroll, like that would have been awesome. Shauna does a really good job of talking about benefits. There's just so much knowledge in our teachers that why would you want to go out anywhere else? Like they just have a lot of great ideas. On Monday, we have another session of professional development. We've got Charlie Bierman, our sped teacher. She's going to be talking about different modifications that you can make to test some different things in your classroom. Mr. Hallstrom is going to talk behavioral management type stuff. And then our letters training people are going to do kind of a make and take for different people. So you can they sign up for sessions. They have to get at least 4 points a year. That has been awesome and lots of fun. I don't know how fun it is for them, but it's super fun for me to go sit and listen to all of them.
They've been really good.
Yes. Jackie and I keep having our team meetings. It's a great opportunity for us to learn what's going on in the classroom and have good intentional conversations with kids. Curriculum, we are implementing math, which has been awesome. All we really did is upgraded our map from what we previously had. So we upgraded Envisions and Big Ideas, and everyone seems to be super comfortable and it seems to be working really well. Our map scores this particular time in math are amazing. Like they really look good. There's at least 5 to 7 points worth of growth in each kid. Usually at this time you see 2, so that's good that all of the stuff is working. That's for the high school. For the elementary, you can see bigger growth in those. And we are going to adopt for fine arts and Spanish. Still working on those, but we're in there. And we started talking about science. So that is going to be a huge adoption. We've set some belief statements, some groundwork on that, and we're going to have a PD on Monday with the new state standards that are in science. We've got a wealth of knowledge in one of our high school science teachers, Mrs. Kern, and she's going to give us a good rundown of how to read and interpret those standards and how to incorporate them into our lesson planning. So that won't be until next year, but it's a good start. Let's see, data, the big stuff. I apologize because I feel like every year this particular report keeps getting pushed back further and further.
It's not your
Used
fault.
to be October when we got all of our information, then it was like early November, and then it was late November, and by the time you compile all the numbers and you single click on every single school to see where they're at, it just takes a little bit of time. So thanks for being patient and waiting to see what those numbers come out to look like. Arlington continues to stay really in the higher level to the high medium levels of NSCAs in both ELA and math. ACT scores this time were really great. Some really great ACT scores, which was towards the higher quartile of these are our RA schools, correct?
Well, depends on our rate. These are like our ESU schools.
ESU schools, yeah, and just a couple extras here and there, your big hitters like your elementary schools and Benningtons and things like that too.
These are members of ESU 3, so
Yes.
that's what we've always done our data rollout.
So, things that we're doing in the classroom are working, and the interventions that we're making to help kids are also working. But I would say probably our hardest hit levels are junior high ELA. You also have to understand that middle school students hate testing, and trying to get them to want to do their best is very hard. But other than that, the numbers look very good. In the higher 80s and 90 percentiles, the 70s. ELA has always kind of been a struggle for us, but it continues to grow as well.
Mrs. Wolf, elementary science across the board for every school pretty much is very high.
Yes.
Is there, I'm just curious, is there a reason for that?
I don't know for sure, to
Okay.
be honest with you. And I don't know how well or how much validity I put into the ELA and math scores as well, because those continue to change each year. So for instance, we're looking at like 10 points jump, like they gave 10 points extra in each of those this year that they didn't get the year before. And it just seems like those cut scores change by at least 10 points each year. So it's hard to say this is apples to apples, or could make a good comparison each year, because they change so much.
Well, they set the cut scores after everybody gets
It's
their
done.
data in.
Mhm.
So if it's like a rough testing year in general for
Yes.
some of our larger districts, they might give everybody else 10 points to adjust for that. So
Yeah,
basically, it kind of, it skews the data just a little bit, but everybody is
Right.
subject to the same skill, so we're okay,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, so it's just difficult to interpret and to look at this and say, wow, that's a huge jump, and it might be because of statewide scores and how they adjusted the cut, because they don't set the cut until they see what everybody
Yeah.
submits.
Yep.
So that makes it kind of tricky.
It's interesting, just the fourth grade in here, and then you look at the fourth grade,
Last year's fourth grade has been.
yeah.
I think the big thing with that particular group of ladies, they know their state standards without even having to look at them. And so that's how they teach. They teach very standard based. They use their curriculum as mental type of stuff. And they know exactly what standards match what lesson, and they are very meticulous about making sure they not only hit on it once, but they're constantly revisiting them. I think that makes a huge, huge difference. But yeah, their scores are fabulous. Some of them have an asterisk. They didn't give us a score for that. I don't know if there's something that was missing.
Usually they mask their scores if they are, if their test groups are smaller than 10 students. That's the only time I've ever seen that.
But there was quite a few of those
That's
this year.
interesting,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, because that doesn't make sense.
And our science scores have always kind of stayed at the 85th percentile. Like, we have really stayed very even right there every year.
Elementary math must be really fun, or elementary science must be really fun, so I gotta go with.
They love it, yeah.
Yeah, it's just fun.
To clarify, then, 2024 is last year's fourth grade? That's when all the data came out,
Last year's
right?
fourth.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it was, this group of fourth graders would be last year's your third graders.
From the statewide, just the statewide measure that we gave in anywhere from the end of March to the beginning of May.
Yeah. Which yes, they did not look bad at all. And they've got nice, good growth each year from 2017.
No, that's good data, I think.
Yeah.
I'm tracking, I think, a lot of good things to see in there. Especially, I like the look back to, I think that helps, going back to 2017, 2018, just to see trends. Because then you see pre-COVID, COVID, and now post-COVID world we live in.
Yep, and a reminder, you're listening. That's
Yep.
the year we couldn't get the test, and then, yeah. Actually, there's 2 years missing there, but yeah, they were the non-test.
Very good. Anything else, Mrs. Wolf?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Does have any other questions?
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
That's a great,
Thank you for
great
everything.
message. Thank you.
You're welcome to go on with your evening as well.
It's hard with a junior high basketball player. You're here at 6:00 and now it's time to go home at 8.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So you have a report in front. I just made a quick PowerPoint just to kind of highlight some things and then answer any questions you maybe have over the report. So if Dr. Morgan wants to advance that for me. So if you remember several years ago, we started requiring personal finance for graduation, and that happened before the state mandated it. So our system seems to be working well. Kids can choose 2 tracks. They can take a 1 semester personal finance, or they can take 2 semesters of college credit courses, which includes wealth building fundamentals and macroeconomics. I would say this year, out of all the students that are taking it, like right now, 25-ish in macroeconomics, and there are 12 that have taken the basic personal finance. So I would say this year in particular, more of our kids have chosen the college credit option versus the non-college credit option. Some of that is because Metro is probably free, and we'll talk about that a little later. We also, for a long time, since I started here, we began offering information technology 1 and 2 as a high school graduation requirement. That is going to help us transition to that new requirement from the Department of Ed, the State School Board Association brought down for the computer science requirement. So we're figuring out how we're going to integrate all of that in there. They've pushed the dates back, so that's a little bit helpful to us. But at least we have the course in place to be able to transition that. Schools who did not are having to figure things out a little more than what we're having to do. So those would be required areas in our department. We do a couple things to see how our students score on data and how they perform. One is we do the WISE financial literacy program, and you'll see the topic areas that covers. We do that for every student in personal finance class. Basically, it's 1,000 questions on personal finance, and every student, there's 60 of them pulled for them to take. So you don't know which questions you're going to get, but it fits in those areas. It's kind of great for me as a teacher to see, because when it comes back to the report, it shows me their scores broke down by those areas. Interesting enough, what I always find is the highest score is whatever we learned last, because I don't always teach things in the same order. I sometimes tend to mix them up. And so I always find that interesting that if we covered credit last, our credit scores are going to be the highest. But overall, they've done great. Last year, we were at a 96% certification rate, and that actually put us in the top 25 schools in the nation that take the test. So that was good to see. And then we also do the MOS certification exams. Mr. Haight is our new business teacher, so he's working through trying to get that figured out to work. He hasn't done any testing yet, but he plans to do so in the spring. That is a statewide grant initiative that we pay for, and they supply us with all the tests for those kids to be able to get those certifications. And both things look great on their resume and shows they're employable when they're ready to go out and start looking for a job. FBLA, currently we have 85 paid members. We have about 120 students who participated, but not all of them always pay their dues. At the National Leadership Conference this past year, we had a 2nd place team in a new event called esports. And kind of a fun fact with that, I had 2 teams try esports this year, and it's already been going on. It's an ongoing competition. They did a 6-hour online competition on a Saturday, but both of our teams made the top 10 finals. So tomorrow and Wednesday, they've assigned 2 times, and they'll be presenting what they learned about their presentation during that. So hopefully we know we're going to have 2 of them placed. So hopefully they do well with that. We also had a top 15 finalist team, the business management team at Nationals. And Nationals just gets a little harder and harder because there's about 15,000 students there now, just from all over the world, not even just the U.S. We had a who's who winner. And then we also had one of the 2 scholarship recipients nationwide. And then last year we had 2 state officers. We don't have a state officer this year on the 6-member team, but we have 2 students who are going to go through the screening process and try to run for next year. Mr. Parson is in charge of the Arlos Drive, and he provided some information there for us. And I got a couple pictures of him, of the kids at, I believe, state softball. doing the Strive. They've been very active, and it's great because we're able to provide that free service, and they do such a great job. And I know other schools, when we go there, we don't necessarily, if you go back and try to watch a game, or from my having parents that live in another state, they're able to log and watch all the home games and have it figured out. And that's a great service that we provide our community. Those students do a great job with it. In school program, so we are, I'm not sure what year we're in. These seniors were fourth graders when we started Banking School. So we have about 30 students who rotate through volunteering. So we get a lot of volunteers on Friday mornings. So they come in early on Fridays because we run it during late start time. They come in every Friday. They help get, we've had a few challenges with the changes of busing schedules. We basically run about 50 to 60 kids through in 15 minutes is what's happening, because they're all arriving at the same time. Where we used to be a little more staggered. So we set up the Blue Gym usually late every Thursday night, and then they come rolling in Friday morning, and they come in and we get them all through. And if it's a special prize day, we'll have over 100 of them come through. But on the average, we're about 60 students coming, but we have 212 students signed up for Banking School. And that group of students from kindergarten through sixth grade have saved over $32,000 cumulative. So every year the sixth graders get their check, and we're good to go with them. So it's great for our students to have that job as a teller. They can put that down as work experience. The bank is a great partner for us on this. They match the money the first day they deposit. They match up to $5. And then they also give them money in their savings account if they take that and go open a savings account when they're finished. We're also fortunate to offer several dual credit opportunities, and these are through Metro. And Metro right now is offering free tuition. So macroeconomic personal finance, the technical name is wealth building fundamentals for college credit. And this year we had enough demand to offer business law for college credit again. So that was great. That's a fun class to teach. And so they're able to earn credit for both, and it is free. And if they're going on to major in business, they can transfer all of it. If not majoring in business, it still transfers as electives, but macroeconomics for most kids counts as a humanities. So easy way to get some credit that doesn't cost them as much. Okay, if you have any questions.
I think the only question I had, Mrs. Cover, was, it's about 2/3 in that macroeconomics and then 1/3 in that. Have you seen that trending a certain direction since they implemented that personal finance requirement?
No, because they were before. I mean, we've had the requirement since the class of 2017 is required went into play for us. So when those kids graduated, they had to have personal finance. So I would say we go between a 50-50 split to a 70-30 split. More kids are typically taking the college credit. And I always tell them they have to have a C or higher for it to transfer. They have the adjusted grading scale. So really, there's no reason they shouldn't, other than if they don't want to take both classes. And we decided as a department and as an administration to require both classes if they did the college credit. Because nobody can have too much personal finance or too much economics. So the basic personal finance is kind of a combination with economics and personal finance both in it. So. Any other questions?
No, just a big thank you for the Strive too, not just for grandparents, but for parents that travel a great deal during. It's fantastic. So.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with that. That's all Mr. Parson, but I do let him know when something's not working, I guess. There was a delay during the game. My dad's texting me on last week. You got it fixed though. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 6, principal's report. Mr. Shada.
I'll probably start with the bottom part first. The fall academic all-state awards were out this month. This is a great honor for several of our students here. You can see below, you have to have a 3.7 higher on 4.0 scale, and then be a varsity contributor. And so these Gus Burns and Colby Ty for cross country for boys, Haley O'Daniel, Wahlberg for girls cross country, Zane and Luke Ott for football. Aston Spoots and Abby Thomas, Brittany Nielsen, Lydia Shopfield, softball, Kaylee Herman and Callie Shear, and then play production is Catherine Douglas and Colby Ty. So I just wanted to read those names so it was heard and recorded. They're fantastic folks. We have a lot of great people doing a lot of great things this past fall. And so this has a lot of things, and education comes out after the fall and you're halfway through winter. That's another story. It's really what we emphasize all the time is, and you heard it here, that you're a student first. These kids are exemplifying that, and we're really proud of them and their classmates too, and teammates. At the top there, we have one of our favorite events coming up this year. So for the first time in Arlington history, we split the wrestling tournament. The girls will wrestle Friday night, this Friday. So we're excited about it. And there'll be some things we'll do different next year. That always happens when you do something new, but we're really excited about that. 15 girl teams coming on Friday night. Starts at 5, and the boys wrestle Saturday morning at 9:30. And so there's 16 teams there. Really both days, and lots of opportunity. Want a special thanks to our teacher staff, our people coming to help work. It takes a small army to put that together, so we appreciate our custodial staff especially. So we're excited about that. You can see the wrestling if you're on the road. There's some guys on stride both nights, both night and day. So those are good things. So questions on any of those things?
I think so.
All right, Dr. Morgan.
Okay, good stuff going on our side. This is the time of year that I typically do what we're working on in goal areas. So all data, all the time. We have our math action plan there that we're working on. At the beginning of the year, 52% of our students were proficient in FastBridge. And our goal was to get to 68. We got to 69 at the winter benchmark. So we're going to push to 83 by the end of the year in that FastBridge area. And then in math, we had 58. Our goal was 72. We're at 71. We're going to hit 80 by the end of the year. And we've got some steps that we're taking to get there, inclusive of our tier 1 and tier 2 instruction for math. And then the same thing in ELA. Like Mrs. Wolf said, ELA is traditionally trended just a smidge lower for us. We started the year with 30% proficient at the elementary and FastBridge. We wanted to get to 55. We got to 44, so we're pushing to 70 to the end of the year there. In math, we started the year at 57, wanting to get to 70. I can see that out of the corner of my eye. It is not on the board. Anyways, we wanted to get to 70. We struggled a bit on math reading, so we're gonna keep working there, using some of those things below for intervention in tier 1 and tier 2 instruction. Holiday celebrations, lots of games and crafts, annual dodgeball tournament for grades 3 through 6, watching movies, having snacks. They had some cookies that were donated by the PTO. They got to decorate, which is always fun. Sure them up and send them home. That's what we did for holiday celebrations. PTO holiday store. I attached the article that Dr. Lewis, I believe, sent out for the Nebraska Public School Advantage paper. It was a nice article. I
To
just,
the board and to the staff.
yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that Mrs. Christensen and I asked was that he made us sound smarter than we were, and I think he did a fabulous job. So we're very appreciative of that. And then there's our December Eagle of the Month winners. There they are in their bright smiling faces with their yard signs. And then last but not least, we kicked off One Book, One Arlo. We're doing Rump, that's not spelled correctly, the fairly misspelled. True Tale of Rumpelstiltskin. If you remember back, we do One Book, One Arlo every other year. So this year we kicked it off with some fun and video attached to that with Mrs. Reed, who dressed as a fairy and tossed some glitter around. So if you heard the rumblings of all the glitter, I still think I have some in my hair. Outside, we tossed the glitter outside. It did make inside as glitter most often does. And so you can see some gold glitter around and about. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff there. This year doing something a little different. So we send the book home and ask families to read a few chapters a night with their kiddos. This year we reached out and got some famous people in the community to record some of those chapters for us, and then those are on YouTube, so if parents don't have an opportunity to sit and read with their kids, they can listen to the story online. So good stuff. What questions do you have? None.
I'm good.
I love that. For us.
Mr. Faison.
Okay, last month I said I'd provide some numbers for you for exemptions. So the fall exemption numbers, I just put last year's compared to this year since we now have a fall and a fall to look at. Pretty consistent numbers there, but about 64%, 65% of our students who are able to meet the exemption requirements for finals. Underneath that, I put from Power School, that's what PS report means, is Power School report. So if they completely match what is reported to the state, it should be really close. So I put the first year in there as 22-23 school year, because that spring was the first year we did exemptions. All right, so that's why that's there. It's an outlier. It doesn't really compare apples for apples because that's the whole year. The last two falls, though, I put in there. So fall of 2023, when the exemption policy was in place, you can see our ADA was 95.26 that semester. I did include the school year just to give a comparison in parentheses. And this fall was 95.97. So we're seeing at least a bit of a tick. I broke it down into high school, middle school, just to be fair. I mean, honestly, our high school is going up from 94.23, 95.5, 95.75. The biggest jump, which has nothing to do then with exemptions, is the middle school from last fall to this fall. So I wanted to let's just be honest, but ADA, the numbers are trending in a good direction, if that makes sense. So then from the state absenteeism report, just to give a line graph of kind of where from COVID this has gone. Generally, you see the top line is the state, and when you hear reports of, okay, absenteeism is becoming an issue, one of the things they may be talking about is students who are absent 10% or more of the total school days. So if you can see that really, I mean, our elementary, they're the bottom line. We had, they do phenomenal. They get everybody here for.
They're excited to go to school.
They're excited.
Yeah.
But recently, the school, middle school, high school, kind of was trending up a little bit, which is kind of what we talked about a couple years ago. And hopefully we have students who are missing 10% or fewer school days. That number, or more, that number is going down. So a couple of encouraging things that we appreciate our parents and our kids and our being intentional about getting kids here every day. So just wanted to throw a couple different reports your way. Next pages are fun stuff. Penny Wars. So our student counselor out there, we put Penny Wars out there and collect money for our room of requirement. And from that, we lifted a lot of weights because pennies weigh a lot. Change weighs a lot. And $1,600 of change is a lot. And that's not all change, but a lot of it was. Again, let's give credit where credit's due. I think $1,200 or $1,300 of that was from the elementary.
They were They were sneak attack at the beginning of the day and going, if you put quarters, nickels, dimes, or dollars in other people's, it takes away from their total. So they were like bringing dollars and putting them in, and it was intense on the elementary.
So it was a war. But what it did was then provided some opportunities for our room of requirements to really get stocked up. If you haven't seen that, and I don't know if the board has.
Yeah, it's
becoming.
really, it looks beautiful in there. It's put together and it's comfortable, and it's that place for kids to, even as they shop for clothing, to try things on in a private space and everything like that. It looks really great.
And the other things, we are starting planning for next year with department meetings. Parent-teacher conference is Wednesday and Thursday for Valentine's Day. And then I think that Mrs. Coder updated you on a few numbers. Maybe she said that, I forget how many savers you said you have now. Over 210?
212.
And you said you had accumulated over $32,000 in savings, but something that she sent out to the staff was a little update, a mid-year update, with, you get a little slideshow there, so.
We were like 31,800 and then last week pushed us over.
Yeah, there you go. So just wanted to highlight, a lot of those things that we very much appreciate is being able to work as a K-12 campus, that I kind of wanted to highlight as well, that, you know, what the elementary does, you know, supports what we're doing and hopefully vice versa, so. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Flinkston, and to the rest of the administration. Agenda item 7, superintendent's report. Dr. Lewis.
First thing on my report is just to continue our discussion of the timeline and planning for the community engagement board retreat strategic planning. So right now, on the calendar, we have the community engagement meeting for February 5th. And then we have the board retreat on for March. Is that 5th as well? I pulled my calendar. I feel like it was
March 4th.
March 4th. Okay. And strategic planning will build upon both of those things. So Caden plans to come and meet with us prior to the community engagement meeting. And then assist with the community engagement meeting. And then come and report back at our board retreat and try and tie in some of those things with our current board goals. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Chase and I had a Zoom with Caden, and we talked about these things coming up. The meeting prior was with like a focus group, correct? So we want to invite some people in before the community engagement meeting. I was talking about 30-ish people, I think, correct?
Yeah, I think he wanted a pretty big number, and we tried to let him know. You might go a little smaller, but
That's a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't get a whole lot done.
When does he want to do that? I mean, we're coming up pretty damn quick.
Yeah, we met with him and sent him everything we need on our end, and we'll have a follow-up with him this week to identify the individuals. I think it'll be part of the administration team, part of the board, certificated staff, some community members. So I more envision,
Should be a cross-section representation.
yeah, probably 10 to 20 is more realistic number.
Yeah.
And was his plan to come actually on February 5th and do that before community engagement, or was it just to come? I think it was like at 4 o'clock
Yep.
versus a community engagement meeting that's at 7.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
Community engagement's at 6 or so.
We've been doing it at 6.
6. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were at 7.
February
Uh-huh.
It's a
We
good
said
thing I
6:30
didn't,
on
fifth. Yeah, 6.
I have 6.
Okay, so I will, I'll publicize that tomorrow, 6 to 7:30 then.
So with that, if the board has, so I would ask the board 2 questions. Task, if you could reach out to anybody in the community that you would like to attend that part of the community engagement. Also, if you want to let Dr. Lewis and I know of any individuals that you would like on the working for a little more in-depth strategic plan
4 o'clock.
that you would recommend for that group, please just let Dr. Lewis and I know, and we can work with NASB on that as well.
And we're just kind of, right now, waiting to hear back from Shaden because he had the different data analysis that he was going to share with us. And then we sent him our goals, board goal document that we just reviewed in December.
Can we
And our
try and
policies.
get maybe some, let's say parents with some older kids and younger kids?
I think it's
Try and
good.
scatter
I
it out a little bit?
think you want to have elementary and middle school or high school, and definitely. Yep.
Okay.
Can I ask a favor on behalf of the girls wrestling team to go to the district? Before that, can we have it at 6:30? So you don't cut their practice short and go again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, if that's, I mean,
We haven't put anything
Yeah, I haven't
out
publicized yet,
anyway,
so.
so, yeah,
I just would
that's a
give a
good,
full
yeah,
practice and
Yeah.
that comes short.
I think that's okay. Anybody have a,
That's why I'd even go 7, because if they quit practice at 6:30, then I have to take them to maths.
Anytime after 6:30 would be appropriate. You guys decide that.
Okay. Maybe it's better to do 7. Does anybody have any opposition to 7?
7 to 8:30, and I think that's.
And then maybe we'll just push back that prior meeting a little later. Yeah.
Okay.
okay, so we set from at 7?
And then just for the board to know, as you recall, last year Kate came to present that long report of a whole bunch of different metrics and responses from parents, students, certificated staff, non-certificated staff. And what he will be doing is, I think we all were a little holding that with this. They're going to compile that into a much more useful format for us to utilize for the further strategic planning sessions, which will kind of go in depth more with the board at the board retreat. So
Let's talk about the alignment with our current goals and see what.
we just thought the board retreat, since we go over our district goals anyways at that time, that be a good time to do that with MSP.
Do we have more questions for that? Just some dates to go down. ASP nurse reports are attached for you to review. I'll go through those. Legislative updates, I did grab a couple of things. I got a report from the first few bills that were introduced. It is not 120 or 1,020 bills long so far. This is just as of Friday, I believe. There's only been a single page of introductions. They spend the first few days, the session began on the 8th, I believe, or was it the 7th? And they spend the first few days basically appointing the committees and things like that. So we had a senator who we thought was going to be a strong contender for the chair of the education committee. She did not get that. She has said even if she did not get the chair of the committee, she would vie for a spot on the committee. So I'm not sure if that has been decided or not. So anyway, we lost Senator Walls off of that committee. She was really instrumental and valuable in getting some pro-education things going for us. So we're hoping Senator Hughes will become a part of that as well. Some of the, and again, Speaker Arch, second run at being the Speaker of the House. So far, the bills that have been introduced that might impact schools, LB 14 is having the Free School Act. I haven't seen the details of a lot of these yet, but my assumption is that is the one where nobody would ever pay for their lunches at school. So, LB 31 is requiring school policies relating to the use of student surveillance, monitoring, and tracking technology by school districts. Haven't seen that as well yet either. LB 49 provide a model ban and policy for school districts. Not sure what that one is. Again, haven't read them yet. Distribution of nameplate capacity tax. It's just a little bit of income that we get from the state. The Nebraska Property Tax Incentive Act. So again, we knew that property taxes were going to be high. There's probably some proposed changes to TOSA yet as well, but that's not in there yet. Adopt the school psychologist interstate licensure compact. So a license from different states would translate into a school psych license. We've had a lot of movement on a lot of other certificates and things like that. And so it would be our school psychologists in Nebraska have a similar licensing process to teachers, but they don't always in different states. And we haven't always honored certificates from other states. And so that would be, again, a way to do that. Adopt the Stand Women Act. I'm not sure what that one is. Require a display of the state and national model in schools. Within itself, it's not a bad goal to aspire to. However, we know the national motto would violate separation of church and state if we displayed that in all of our schools, so I'm not sure whether we'll end up with that. And then LB 123, which is change provisions relating to withholding money due to non-compliance within budget. So what that is about is that's connected to the annual audit. So we had a discussion in December with our auditor who will not be auditing us anymore. They're dropping schools from their caseload, and that's happening across. So it's becoming more and more difficult for schools to get their audits in a timely manner because there's fewer auditors who are doing school audits. And the state may withhold state aid payments if the school doesn't get their audit in time, whether it's their fault or not. And so we'll see what that takes a look like when we get to see that. My guess is that it is going to be an extension, basically a way to extend those deadlines because fewer and fewer people are doing school audits. That's what we've got going on so far. More updates. I know Chase spent some time there last week. Did you have anything to add?
No, I think the biggest thing is property taxes is going to be the biggest question mark and where they're going to get the money. State's in about a $432 million shortfall. So to provide property tax relief, I think is it's a wishful goal, but maybe not one that's in reality. So I think NASB, I know Dr. Lewis and I have talked about being a little more proactive with our state representatives on letting them know, hey, we don't want the state of Nebraska to take, for example, 80% of the levy to control that. I think it's best with local control of the school districts. I think we all know that when we apply kind of a one-size-fits-all to all 244 school districts, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because there's a lot of differences between OPS, LPS, Miller, Crawford, Shadder, and Arlington. There's differences just there. So monitoring what that looks like, and I think they're going to get a lot of more pushback and a little more organizations being a little more proactive now that the governor kind of in the special session laid out his cards and came up short there. So we'll just continue monitoring.
And while we're talking about property tax, I will mention too, the one thing that came out of the special session, you would have seen on your property tax statements that you probably received in December at some point in time where it showed you what the taxes were levied against, but what then you would actually be required to pay to show that discount up front now. So this year should be like the 2024 taxes when you file should be the last year that you have to go in and claim credit on your Nebraska income tax rebate. And then beyond that, they're going to just not collect that from you in the state as opposed to make that difference up and get that to the schools. So we'll go back and see how the timing of that, if we're collecting less, than what we asked for, the timing of when the state is going to send us those funds will be interesting too.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. As long as there's no questions on any of that, agenda item 8, committee and representative reports. The only thing we had there was negotiations committee. This is actually an action item coming up a little later. We wrapped up negotiations here, and we'll kind of go over that a little later because that's the only other meeting regarding negotiations.
Do you mind if I come back and talk about the audit just a little bit?
Not all that.
Okay. So the next step we need to do, and we've done this in the past, but is going out for proposals for a new auditor. So I will be really, because there's different ways to go about doing this, but I think I will talk with KSB about the right way to propose that because it's considerably more expensive than it was even 5 years ago. So just so you know, there might be just a little bit of legal fees associated with that to get the notice correct. And then going out for proposals versus qualifications might make a difference too. It's not quite like a construction project, but you want to make sure that you're choosing an auditor who understands some of the finer points of school finance, which is significantly different than the finer points of running a business. And so there's different code structures in place that are federal codes and things like that. So we just want to make sure we get somebody who is not just willing to do a school audit, but who is actually qualified and capable of it. And then understands the timelines and the deadlines and things like that.
Now I covered section 8, we'll go to agenda item 9, unfinished business. 9.1 is the updated policy 3132, internal controls. This is on second reading. Dr. Lewis.
Right, and so again, this policy adjusts the purchasing policies that are primarily connected to our hot lunch program. So whereas we used to have to send everything for approval that was over $5,000 to the State Department of Education when making purchases for the hot lunch program, now that would be $10,000, and it ups the limits to like the other, for the large bids on big items to $109,000, which matches our other purchasing policies. And this is a federally required one.
This is the second, you would have seen this in just.
Yeah, we read it first in December.
With that, I'll make a motion to adopt policy 3132, internal controls.
Second.
Thanks, Cass. We moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Chase Credible.
Yes.
Brian Long.
Yeah.
Chris Legas.
Yes.
Taylor Wilmot. Yes. Jason Martin.
Yes.
Nancy Foster.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 9.2, before I turn this over to Dr. Lewis, I'll just say, so I know I talked to all the board about this, with the superintendent contract and the timelines, it's about as clear as mud on how you do these. So when I talked to everybody, I made one error. Contract is not up for a vote, but Dr. Lewis is going to go over just the timelines, just for the board to know for their reference.
So where we're at right now is in the, so within, I believe it's 7 or 9 days after your January board meeting, by law, a superintendent has to be notified in writing if the board wishes to not continue employment, or to offer, if they intend to not offer a contract. So since this is an action item on here, if that is the direction that you would like to go, this is your opportunity to take such action. Otherwise, we typically do all of our administrative contracts once we're finished with certificated staff. So that would be next on the agenda. So likely a superintendent contract would be on the February board meeting unless your discussion has a different direction.
And anybody feel free to chime in here. I know I talked to all the board members about this as well, and I do not see any action that will be taken this evening in regard to not renewing the contract and putting it on the February agenda. So I don't foresee any written notice that we have to give you. So, yeah.
This is your verbal notice and there will be.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. It's just so strange in that it's not in policy or anything like that. It's actually in my contract without which it's really silly. So now this is the second time we talked about it. We talked about it in December as well.
All right, agenda item 10, new business, 10.1, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve 2025-2026 master agreement between the certificated staff and the Board of Education. So with the new member here, I wanted to kind of give a general overview of how we usually do our negotiations with certificated staff. So we met with Mrs. Koger's team in early October. Does that sound right, Mrs. Koger?
Yep.
And fairly new team on their end. And we had, we go, when we have an initial meeting, we just basically go over what we look at as far as our schools in our array. So when we kind of can stack where the negotiated agreement is as far as compensation with our certificated staff, we look at really two different things, compensation and benefits. And we have about 13 or 14 different schools, all in about a 60-mile radius, all around the same size as our district that we compare to see where we are as compared to them. And that really drives, that's one of the factors that the board looks at, and the AEA as well looks at when we talk about a new agreement. And then after we have that, we also talk about kind of the one-offs, I'll call them, in changes. And you'll see quite a few of those, maybe more so this year than as compared to others that either the board or superintendent maybe identifies as something we should maybe look at, or the AEA to us as something that they would like to possibly see changed. So I'll kind of go through a little of those one-offs, because once we get through those, it's a lot easier to just talk about the dollars and cents, if you will. So in our negotiated agreement, you'll see all of the different columns and things as it talks about activity and activities. We identified a couple of duplicative columns that didn't really need to be there. So we kind of restructured that just to clean it up a little bit. You'll also see in that negotiated contract years of service on some of the columns, and those were not uniform either. So we made sure to add years of service to all the columns just to make that uniform across the board. We also added and moved around a couple of things, particularly summer band previously was a little outlier. It was by itself as a flat rate. We moved that to include into the columns. We also moved around some assistant FFA, FBLA, and head FBLA and head FFA just to better recognize what we're doing and how much work goes into those. And then we changed the language a little bit on extra duty committees and what that looks like. So just a lot of cleanup things, not a lot of cost to the district with those, but just makes things a little cleaner and easier for both the school district and the certificated staff.
Yeah, the extra duty just cost about $3,000 total, so for everybody.
Yep. And going into some other kind of one-off things, sick leave bank, that's been, I think, for the past couple of years, a topic that we've discussed, but really not ended up anywhere, I think it's fair to say. So I think we found a really good solution to this, that there were some individuals that weren't in the sick leave bank, that there was confusion about how they joined or why they joined. So we just made it very clear that any new hire in the district must join the sick leave bank and allow an open enrollment for those previous staff members that aren't in the sick leave bank. And then also change the payback rate a little bit there going forward. I think it cleans it up a lot for a topic that has been brought up quite a few times over the past couple of years. Yeah. And then on the insurance side, I think we've talked about this previously. That was an area that we were really lacking as compared to other districts. Last year, we were able to get up to 100% which is something, which is a good thing for I think both the district and staff. And with those insurance changes, we had a contribution on the HSA and PPO premiums that if the district matched the contribution, that we would, the district would receive a discount on their current whole insurance package. So what that did was it allowed us to save a decent chunk of money on the benefit side, and I would say reinvest right back into the district with some of these other changes. So it just allowed us to reinvest those savings into our staff. And you'll see The last change before the dollars and cents was salary schedule changes.
Hold on. There was also a bit, other one that was kind of important, well,
thank
the
you.
short-term
Thank
disability.
you.
So it was brought up quite a bit about short-term disability, also help with the sick leave bank, helping to, pregnancies, surgeries, different things like that. There's a policy for short-term disability. So that'll help, help our staff a lot with having the sick day bank and all that kind of stuff and having that income still. So that's a new thing that we're offering this year, as well as that short-term disability part of the insurance.
Yep, and that'll be to all the certificated staff. Yep, thank you, Cash, for bringing that up. And then the last thing, outside of the dollars was, we added a step to the salary scale, the bottom of columns for individuals, with a master's plus 9, master's plus 18, or master's plus 27, which just recognize that experience and those individuals on that level. A lot of them were bottomed out, if you will, or maxed out. And while you could move on the bachelor side, those individuals just, were kind of bottomed out a little bit. So we created a little bit more movement there to recognize that education and that years of experience. And the following thing, the base salary, so that will be applied to all the certificated staff. So when you'll see the base salary there for anybody, teacher that starts at the very beginning, that will be their starting salary. I will tell you, not all of the districts have settled right now, but based upon our around 14 school district array, we expect to be either number 1 or number 2, I would say. That's fair guess.
Yeah, it'll be in the top 3 of it, for sure. It depends on movements on one other school district.
So, which is a good place to be, and we were able to do that amount based upon some of the savings we had on the insurance side this year. And since Mrs. Coger here, did you have anything to add on that, Mrs. Coger?
Nope.
Okay.
Our membership's already voted and passed it, so.
So that I will.
I guess I do have one thing, and we did have a great working relationship. It was nice to be able to collaborate together to come up with a contract that benefits the district and the staff as well.
It was a very nice experience. I've only been on this committee for 2 years, and this was a very different experience than it was even last year. It was more of working together and figuring out how the board can serve the teachers and how we can communicate back and forth to get not only the best of the teachers, but for the board as well. We still want to be good stewards of the funds that we have. It's not our goal to be at the top. It's our goal to be at the middle of our arrays and with our budget. This budget, it's our starting point. So the total package increase of 3.7%. As of right now, it is at the top. But we feel that what we propose and what we are presenting here is not only for it's a great option for our teachers. Obviously, they've already accepted it. But we felt like it was the right thing to do, the right thing for our staff, for their morale, for adding those extra duties. It was like the easiest part for talking about this was the base salary aspect of it. It was all the little things, that salary schedule of the extra duty salary thing that only added $3,000 to the budget. But that was something that really means a lot for us to know that they're valued. So it was little things that really affected our decisions. I think it's a great option here. We talked about it a lot. It was a really good working relationship. And we had lots of data to pull to make our decision too. I think it's a good place to move
Good for
forward.
you guys for working together.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, we can discuss this here in a little bit, but I'll make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 master agreement as presented. All right, it's moved second. Is there any further discussion? Like Cass said, it's 3.07 percent total, which is what that looks like for everybody's reference. So, any questions at all from anybody? Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Brian Longer,
Yes.
Steve Slarks,
Yes.
Shannon Wilmot, Jason Art,
Yes.
Bessie Closner,
Yes.
Chase Carter.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Agenda item 10.2, review of the 4,000 policies. Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, part of that
Yeah.
policies, it's a long section of our policies. Most of these, if you've gone through them, are single page, single paragraph ones that are pretty basic, but mandatory policies that we have to have. So if anybody has any particular questions about any of those, I would entertain some discussion. Otherwise, I'm not going to go through all of them. Quick reads. That's good. So it's not always going to be this easy, Mr. Speckers. It's going to get harder.
I've read them all. I've read through them all this afternoon.
Sometimes you only have 2 policies on there and there's 2.
Was there anything in any of these that needed to be updated or that stuck out to you?
No, everything in these needed to be updated, everything. The last time we read these was 2022 in January, so it's been 3 years since we've looked at most of these and double on those. Anything that would come up, you know, in particular might be like with FLSA, Fair Labor Standards Act, but again, it's not the policy, it's our reaction to those policies. So these are not necessarily the federal policies, but just our policy to act on them. So.
And there was a couple of small updates that were highlighted in red on the
Yeah.
policies. Nothing, a lot of legal language, yep, or updates with different state statutes or things like that.
With the new term disability, I didn't see anything in the injury leave that would
No,
need any.
yeah, that shouldn't have anything to do, I think, with our injury leave.
Because that seemed to be something other you had to report
Yes.
having the injury while would be determined if that
Pull
was,
it up.
who was at fault.
I'm not on the board anymore. Yeah, that is if someone has been injured
Right.
on the job intentionally, recklessly, something like that, which doesn't.
So we're not concerned
Yeah,
about
we should
it.
care.
Okay.
Disability. That would turn into like a state disability request that somebody would, or something like that, you know, that would be different than our short-term disability. That would be an employee's decision to file for disability, or workman's comp, like that.
Oh, the other professional growth aspect, 30 points over 6 years. It said in this thing that I read, and may correct me if I'm wrong, you could do at any time over 6 years, you have to achieve 30 points. There's no set any time. She mentioned you had to have 4 points per year.
So we do that for our own on-school level. So the ones that they're taking, the 4 points that we're requiring them are the pure lead ones. So that's different.
So that's not,
So their professional growth can come from a lot of different ways, and they can count these pure lead ones, but that is separate from this. They work together, but the requirement is that we spend opportunities, because if you go through the actual language in there, that maybe it's not in this one, but that we do a policy that talks about how the teachers should kind of be driving some of the professional development and be involved in the planning of. And so this great peer led that we started just a couple of years ago has given teachers the opportunity to talk with each other about the professional planning and the professional growth that they're doing. So it's become valuable. I would see a point where maybe we don't have to require to make it mandatory, but right now it gets everybody actively presenting something that they've learned or learning from each other in a very intentional way. They're short, they're half hours, and they're really, really good.
no, that's my only concern was if it needed an addendum or if there's not.
No, I think the
If
two of them
there's-
just
if there's
kind of
not.
really work together. Mhm. That's a good question.
Comments. Okay, we will adjourn at 8:49 p.m. And I know some students need some signatures. Feel free to go to any board member.
That was my favorite one.
All right.
I sure.
That's great.